Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are presenting on the topic of environmental and financial compliance economic, focusing on the comprehensive analysis of environmental issues such as carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur, nitrat, water, and ash, and their business of financial implication of Indonesia's energy sector. As the world shifts towards more sustainable energy solution, understanding the intersection of environmental regulation and economic viability has never been more crucial. This presentation is a collaboration effort by Team 10, consisting of Saidin Wahab, Abdul Aziz, Fenty, and Tommy Ilham Riza Pahlevi, under the guidance of our lecturer, Nugroho Adi Sangsoko. We will explore the challenges and opportunities in Indonesia's energy sector, addressing key compliance issues that directly impact both in environmental sustainability and financial performance. And let's begin by diving the environmental compliance challenge that energy companies face and how these challenges translate into financial implication. Thank you for your attention. Next. This presentation focus on compliance analysis on actual table 2025. And then scenario number 1, aggressive carbon pricing. And scenario number 2, fiscal and incentive and green subsidies. And then fiscal implication and financing risks. Next. Okay, for the next presentation will be presented by Mr. Said.
Okay, thank you for allowance. I will speak about compliance and project economy analysis. We begin by establishing that environmental compliance is not just a regulatory issue, but a significant financial one. Meeting standard for emission and waste requires substantial investment, which directly impact key project metrics like cost of energy and profitability. Next. Okay. Case study. Our take two objects for we explain it here. Suralaya coal power plant and Tangguh LNG. For our analysis, we focus on two case studies. The Suralaya coal power plant, where we examine sulfur, nitrat, sulfur and nitrat control, and the Tangguh LNG facility, where we analyze methane leak detection. Our methodology uses LEDS data with an H% WACC over a 25-year horizon. Next. Okay, this is table of compliance project economy in 2025 from the power plant Suralaya coal and Tangguh LNG. This table summarizes the financial reality of compliance for Suralaya, adding scrubbers increase the cost of electricity. In contrast, Tangguh LDAR program show an attractive return by reducing product costs, providing that not all compliance costs are burdensome. Okay, next presentation will be presented by Mr. Abdul Aziz.
Okay, thank you, my friend, Mr. Said. I will now continue our presentation by exploring scenario one, the implication of aggressive carbon price. Moving to our first future scenario, an aggressive carbon price set at 75 per ton of CO2 equivalent. This policy would fundamentally reshape the economics of fossil fuel project in Indonesia. It acts as a powerful financial signal, making emission-intensive projects more expensive while rewarding those that invest in low-carbon technologies. Let's examine the implication for our two case studies. For the Suralaya coal-fired power plant, this carbon price introduced a significant additional cost. The 2.6 billion project must now absorb the cost of SOx per NOx compliance and the cost of its remaining carbon emission. To remain competitive against renewables, the plant would need to pursue the drastic efficiency strategies or seek revenue from carbon credit. In contrast, the Tangguh LNG UCC project is positioned to benefit. Its integrated CCUS system designed to capture 15 million tons of CO2 is no longer just a cost center. At the 75 per ton, the CCUS investment transformed into a source of substantial saving or even new revenue due carbon credit, making the project's net present value highly attractive. Finally, this scenario increase the weighted average cost of capital, or WACC. Investor will perceive higher risk in project without clear carbon mitigation plan. Demanding a higher return, this future depress the profitability of traditional fossil project. While a project like Tangguh UCC with its CCUS solution becomes a more secure and attractive investment. Next, now that we've seen the theory, let's look the data. This graph on the next slide show the financial sensitivity analysis. This graph provide a clear visual on the financial sensitivity we just discussed. It shows how change in key variable impact the net pressure value, our NPV of our two projects under the 75 carbon price. The key takeaway is start the project react in opposite ways. Tangguh UCC, the blue bar, show a strong positive NPV. More importantly, its value becomes even more attractive if the carbon price rises to $100 or if its operational performance, known as the capacity factor, improve. It is resilient. And Suralaya, the orange bar, however, show a negative NPV. Its financial viability is highly vulnerable. A higher WACC or lower capacity factor push in the future into negative territory. Even with a lower carbon price of $50, the project remains financially challenged. The conclusion is clear. Under the aggressive carbon price, Project with integrated mitigation technology like CCUS, again a decisive competitive advance, while conventional coal plants face severe financial pressure and risk becoming standard asset. So what does all mean data mean? The general conclusion as summarized on the next slide. It's a transformation of Indonesia energy economy. Okay, next. To summarize scenario one, an aggressive carbon pricing policy would trigger a fundamental transformation of Indonesia energy project economy. It creates a clear divide. One, project with superior carbon mitigation, like the Tangguh UECC with its CCUS, become highly attractive investment. Their financial metrics improve significantly, making them the preferred choice of capital. Two, conventional coal power plants like Suralaya come under immense financial pressure without a clear and funded strategy to mitigate their carbon emission. They risk becoming economically unviable and unable to compete with cheaper renewable energy alternative. In a sense, this scenario demonstrates that a strong carbon price is not just a tax. It is a powerful market driver that accelerates the energy transition by shifting investment decisively away from high emission project and towards cleaner, more sustainable solution. To dive even deeper, let's now test the feasibility of specific technology like CCS and FGD under this carbon price scenario. Next, let's now zoom in specifically test the feasibility of 2K technologies under $70 carbon price scenario. Carbon capture and storage or CCS and flue gas desulfurization or FGD. Our analysis reveals several critical insights. First, CCS projects are highly sensitive to two factors, the cost of capital or WACC and the plant's operational performance, known as the capacity factor. These are the key indicator of risk and efficiency. And second, the financial payoff can be significant at the 75 carbon price. The internal rate of return or IRR for a CCS project can reach 14.8%. This attractive even if the project cost of capital is 10%. But this only achievable if the project operates at high capacitor factor. This underscores our main point. The carbon price itself is the key driver. It transforms CCS from an economical idea into potentially profitable investment. The graph on this page illustrates this perfectly. It shows that the capacity factor increase, the IRR of the CCS project rise significant. This effect is even more pronounced when the WACC is kept low. Therefore, under an aggressive carbon price, ensuring efficiency project operation and securing low cost financing are crucial to make CCS a variable pillar of Indonesian decarbonization strategy. Okay, next presentation will be present by Fenty. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aziz. For the next presentation, I will continue for the scenario 2 about fiscal incentives and green subsidies, about marginal abatement costs, MAC curve. As we could see here, fiscal incentive and green subsidies can lower the implementation cost of emission mitigation technologies and shifting the MAC curves downwards. In our scenario, we explored a different policy tool like fiscal incentive. The subsidies and tax breaks effectively lower the cost of emission reduction by shifting the marginal abatement cost curve downward and making high cost option like carbon capture more accessible. From the MAC curve illustrates here, the cost per ton of carbon dioxide reduce the incentive should be target at high cost option to shift ambitious of mitigation targets. Next. Next, policy option and implementation strategy by driving the energy transition. First, there is fiscal incentives. VAT incomes tax exemption for green technologies import, for example, FGD, SCR, LDAR, renewable energy. And then green subsidies that direct supports for renewable energy projects and emission mitigation technologies. At this point, the implementation strategy is straightforward for provided VAT and tax exemptions for green technologies import and over direct subsidies. And the goal is to make policies that are detailed in their economic impact but simple to execute. Next. Scenario test 2. Impact of incentive of Suralaya coal fire power plant and Tangguh LNG projects. At this page, we can conclusion that applying this incentive to our case studies so tangible benefits for Suralaya at 50% of capital expenditure, reduction on scrubber save at $35 billion. For Tangguh at 50 million tax credit for CCUS boost its NPV by $200 million by changing project attractiveness without a carbon price. Next. Next is general scenario fiscal incentive and green subsidies. Add here details and implication of supporting policies. At 50% capital expenditure subsidy for CCS and FGD. And then 10-year tax holiday exemption, and then fossil fuel subsidy reform. This slides outlines the specific of policies we propose at 50% capital expenditure, subsidies for clean attack, and then a 10-year tax holiday, and crucial. And then we can reforming fossil fuel from subsidies to free up fiscal space and level to playing field for renewables energy. And next. And then the general scenario fiscal incentive and green subsidies. This scenario assumes that a comprehensive fiscal incentive framework to encourage decarbonization, including a 50% capital expenditure for subsidy and FGD technology, a year tax holiday, and fossil subsidy reform. These incentives have a powerful effect. 50% capital expenditure subsidy can increase the net present value of a CCS project by 25%. Furthermore, reallocating fossil fuel subsidies provides the government with significant funds to drive the green transition. Next. From the impact on marginal abatement cost MAC curve, we can see fiscal incentive and green subsidies strategically lower the implementation cost of emission mitigation technologies, thereby shifting up the MAC curve downwards. This makes previously expensive decarbonized solution more financially viable. At this point, to reiterate, the primary effect of this fiscal incentive is a downward shift of the marginal abatement cost curve. These strategic moves make the decarbonization solution that we were once too expensive now finally viable, which is essential for meeting our climate targets. Thank you. For the next presentation will be presented by Mr. Tommy.
Okay, thank you, Fenty. Now I will continue the presentation about fiscal implication and financing risk, conclusion, and recommendation. This slide summarizes the key findings on the fiscal implication and of environmental compliance and offers strategic recommendation for addressing these challenges. It highlights the short-term fiscal burdens that environmental compliance creates, including subsidies, and the potential for long-term benefits such as reduced litigation risk and enhanced competitiveness. From this slide, we can see that the implication will be 2.5% fiscal burden, estimated increase in fiscal burden for the green transition. And then 30% litigation risk, potential reduction in environmental litigation risk for state-owned energy enterprise. And then 15% oil and gas balance, potential reduction in fuel or LPG imports through accelerated renewable energy development. By managing the financial and legal risks associated with environmental compliance, energy companies can transform these challenges into fiscal opportunities. The recommendation focus on the importance of transparent assumptions, robust financial models, and the integration of green financing strategies to attract investment in clean energy technologies. This approach will help Indonesia achieve its decarbonization goals while maintaining a competitive and sustainable energy sector. Next slide, I will continue to present about the fiscal implication and financing risk during 2024 until 2025 period. This slide further explore the fiscal implication and financing risk for the Suralaya coal-fired power plant and Tangguh LNG projects during 2024 until 2025 period. For Suralaya, the implementation of VAT exemption for FGD and SCR technologies reduce the initial investment by 15%. But the project still face risk from coal price fluctuation and maintenance costs. The possibility of stranded assets remains a concern if carbon prices rise without advanced emission mitigation technologies. For Tangguh LNG, the $50 million tax credit for CCUS implementation substantially reduces capital costs and enhance the project's value. However, the project also faces risks related to the large-scale implementation of CCUS and potential technical challenges. Despite this risk, the fiscal incentive make the project more attractive, ensuring its profitability and supporting Indonesia's transition to a low carbon energy future. And then fiscal implication and financing risk, impact on balance sheets and investment. In this section, I will examine how environmental compliance affects the balance sheets and investment of energy companies. Compliance with emission regulation, particularly through technologies like LDAR, improves operational efficiency and potentially increase the national gas supply by reducing methane emissions. Additionally, carbon taxes can reduce fuel consumption, easing the fiscal burden of subsidies and generating significant revenue for the government. Financially, companies face risks from non-compliance, including fines, lawsuits, and increased capital costs due to ESG requirements from international banks. However, by proactively addressing environmental challenges through ESG audits and green credit guarantees, companies can mitigate these risks and attract green investments, transforming environmental compliance into a strategic advantage. Now, the conclusion for fiscal implication, key takeaways, and roadmap. This section concludes the presentation by summarizing the fiscal implication of environmental compliance, highlighting the key takeaways, and presenting a roadmap for Indonesia's decarbonization strategy. The roadmap includes key phases of implementation from 2025 until 2050, focusing on policy, technology, finance, and human resources. The strategy aims to address the complex challenges of decarbonization while maximizing investment potential. By aligning fiscal policies with environmental goals, Indonesia can create a competitive and sustainable green economy, ensuring that the transition to clean energy is both economically viable and globally competitive. And then the year-based implementation roadmap, decarbonization strategy using fishbone diagram. This section presents the implementation roadmap for Indonesia's decarbonization strategy, spanning from 2025 until 2050. The roadmap is broken down into two phases. For 2025 until 2030 for preparation and foundation building, and for 2031 until 2040 for acceleration and full-scale implementation. The roadmap emphasizes the importance of collaboration across policy, technology, finance, and human resources to achieve Indonesia's long-term decarbonization goals. The fishbone diagram highlights the interconnected elements of the strategy, showing how each area contributed to achieving a sustainable green economy. With a well-planned approach and strong commitment, Indonesia can build a globally competitive green economy, reduce emission, and lead the way in sustainable energy practices. And then this is the appendix for data sources. As we conclude this presentation, it's important to acknowledge the key data sources and methodology that have supported our analysis. The environmental data used in this report is derived from a variety of credible sources, including the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, or ESDM, Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities, SK Kamigas, and then State Electricity Company, or PLN, or Electricity Supply Business Plan, or RUPTL. And then for secondary and international data sources, we are using from data from Statistik Indonesia, or BPS, and then from the International Energy Agency, or IEA, Asian Development Bank, ADB, and Original Equipment Manufacturers, or OEM, for technology data. Additionally, by relying on this data source and employing robust financial modeling techniques, we ensure the credibility and accuracy of our findings, which are crucial for making informed decisions in the transition to a more sustainable energy future. Okay, that's all our presentation. And in conclusion, we have highlight the key factors driving Indonesia's energy transition, focusing on the balance between environmental compliance and financial viability. The introduction of aggressive carbon pricing, fiscal incentives, and green subsidies is essential to encourage investment in low carbon technologies. By implementing these strategies, Indonesia can achieve its decarbonization goals while maintaining economic competitiveness. The roadmap for decarbonization, combined with strong policy support and collaboration, will pave the way for a sustainable and profitable energy future. Thank you for your attention, and let's work together towards a greener future for Indonesia.